Hey guys, welcome back to the Sarah Abbott Life Coaching channel. My name is Sarah Abbott and I'm the life coach here. As you guys know, we're doing a new thing on the channel where I invite regular old people to come in and tell their story. As a life coach, I believe that changing your life begins by owning your story and understanding, not only understanding your story, but how God has worked in your life. And so today I invite to the channel my dear friend Renee. We go to church together. We have led vacation Bible study together. She's so fun and amazing. And I know you're going to love her story. And so welcome, Renee, to the channel.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, gosh. Thank you for saying yes. Okay, so before we begin, will you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'd love to.
Great.
I don't have to look at my notes because I know my name is Renee Afman. So awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but I am married to a great guy. His name's Kirk, and we've been married 39 years. Yeah, we have, and we have twins that are turning 28 tomorrow. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah, they have a birthday. I love to garden. Anyone who knows me knows that. I work at a nursery, and my whole kind of extra life is around things that are growing, green stuff and vegetables and all that. And I love people. I was thinking about it, and I love helping people help people. I'm like, oh, I really like to do that. I love connecting people and putting them in a position where they are able to help other people. I love to eat good food, and I love to have a glass of really good wine. And I really, really, really like doing good things. And that looks different all the time. And so I just, my mind kind of thinks that way. What can I do?
Love that.
Yeah.
For those of you who are listening to us on podcasts, I want you to know that Renee you can't see her, but she's in her beautiful backyard. And another thing you should know about Renee and her beautiful backyard is that she has the greenest thumb out of anyone I've ever met. And she sells tomato plants to our community, which I usually kill like almost right away, but I still buy them every year, which proves that I am an optimist. But anyway, you can, and so if you're on the YouTube channel, you'll see how beautiful her yard is. And if you're hearing her chickens and roosters, you'll know that that's because she's in her garden, which is so beautiful.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
All right, Renee, well, tell me your story.
My story. I was thinking, Sarah, about my story and what it kind of like the path that I was going to take to share my story. And mostly I keep going back to this thing. It's like when I said yes. And my yeses have been not always easy and clear and like, oh, I'm, asked to do something. I'm like, oh, yes, I'm going to do that. They've always been like, okay, I got to really think about this and pray about it. And what does this really mean in my life and to my family? And I realized that the yeses that I did make just projected my life in a whole different, like what happens when you say yes to one thing and that leads you down a path. But I just really feel like God has really orchestrated my yeses and made this whole world open up for me that I could never even have imagined ever in my wildest dreams. In 1992, my husband and I got married. And that's not going to make sense because I said we're married 38 years and we're actually married 29 years, but we were together for 10 years. Oh. So since we were like in our 19s and 20s, and Kirk always says, say 38. And I'm like, I don't want to say 38. It's been 28 or 29 anyway. So we've been together for a really long time and it's great. And so we got married in 1992. And then in 1993, we had twins. So everything, 10 years of, doing life together, and then married, and boom, twins. So on our first anniversary, we literally were sitting on the couch. He had one baby, I had one baby, and we just kind of looked at each other and said, happy anniversary. So that was that. And then we just, yeah. So my first yes was saying yes to marrying Kirk. And had no idea, obviously no one does, what that really means, but that's been a wonderful journey. And then when the twins were born a year later, I had a C-section. And so Carla came, and she was beautiful and perfect. And Garrett came out, and he had to be rushed to ICU. He was not doing well at all. So Kirk took him with the nurses and the doctors. He actually had him in his arm. I go like that, but it was like that. And in the hallway, Kirk had a Paul moment. And he was just like, oh my God, we have to go to church. Like this is, he just really felt God just moving on him. And he, what you need to know is that we weren't going to church, and hadn't. I mean, we both grew up in church, but years and years, like maybe 15 years of just doing our own thing. And so my second yes, he comes back, and he had this experience. Well, I was in recovery, and he said, Renee, we have to go to church. We have to find a church. And I was like, so that wasn't really a yes. That was like a, okay, okay, you find it and I'll go. Yeah, that was a little crazy. So that was an okay, but ended up being an amazing okay. We found a really good church, and we're surrounded by friends and families that had young kids also. And it was like set down some good deep roots. So that was a really good yes also. So that was my second yes that I'll never regret. And then I'm going to back up just a little bit, because in 1989, before we got married, Kirk's sister was killed in a car accident by a drunk driver, and very traumatic. She was the youngest daughter, only girl out of, there were 4 kids, 3 boys. So very tragic, as you can imagine. And so the family decided, there was some insurance money, and they decided not to divvy up that money, but to make a foundation that would, they wanted to concentrate on nutrition for orphanages in really impoverished areas of the world. So they started with Zambia, and there's a little orphanage there called Kabwata. And so that's going to kind of bring you up to my third yes. So in 2006, Kirk's dad, because that foundation had been going on from 89 to 2006. And in 2006, my kids were in middle school, and I got a phone call, and he said, would you consider being on the board of the foundation? And I said, well, I have to really think about that, because I wanted to be able to give what it really needed, and I didn't really know if I was going to be able to do that. So after praying about it and thinking about it and deciding that, yes, that would be a good move, not knowing anything about, what was going to happen with it. I just thought I'd be a bystander and be like, yes, yay, nay, at meetings. So anyway, I said yes. And about a year later, he came to me and said, there's a boy in Zambia that was burned badly, over 75% of his body. And he needs some reconstructive surgeries. And Shriners Hospital has offered to take him, but he needs a host family. There's Shriners in Chicago and a Shriners in Sacramento. And so we're like, oh my gosh, we thought maybe, 3 months, we could do that. So at this point, our kids were 16, and he was also 16 years old. So it took 2 years to get the okay for him to come here through the government. He kept being denied. And we just kept pushing. So finally, he was able to come, and he stayed with us for a year and a half. went back and forth to Sacramento for a year and a half. He had 5 surgeries, and we had weekly visits. He had skin expanders placed in his body to expand the healthy skin. And there's this whole process of taking that skin and doing reconstructive. I mean, it was really, really intense, but really, really good at the same time. So hard and good were battling each other. Yeah.
That's exactly how life is.
Yeah, it was. And so a year and a half later, it was time for him to go home. And he wasn't able to travel by himself. And so I was like, hey, I'll take you. Never been to Africa, never, I've done a little traveling, but haven't gone to Africa and really had no idea what that was going to look like. And so that was all set up. And then somebody bought a ticket for my 16-year-old daughter to go also. So yeah, Carla and I and Gift went back home. We went to Zambia. And that we went to Kobwata, which is the orphanage that All Care Foundation supports. And at that point, I met like all these kids and the moms and the aunties, and I fell deeply in love with All Care came alive for me. I was like, aha, this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it, and this is who all these little people are, and I know them by name, and they accepted me. We loved on each other. We sang together, danced together. It was amazing. So I came home and I was like,
Renee, I have a question.
yeah.
Was Gift an orphan at the orphanage, or is he from the community?
He was an orphan.
Oh,
yeah. Both of his parents died of AIDS. And that's when AIDS was really raging, and a lot of it was very common. And so there's a whole generation of children that are orphaned from AIDS. Yeah, it's really pretty amazing to actually go there and see the generation of people, which would be like my age, that are completely gone. So that's the age group that was hit the hardest. So there are very, very young children, and then there are grandparents that, and then, there are people living with AIDS now, a lot, but there's treatment. And so it's not the way that it was.
Yeah.
Where people had nothing and they were just dying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so he was an orphan. And so we brought him back, and, he was like the rock star that went to America. And anyway, so that just put this like thing in me where I was like, oh my God, I love this. And then, so that was in 2010. And then in 2000 and, so my fourth yes was saying yes to having Gift come live with us and to come be with us and be part of our family. And then, oh God, I was just thinking, Sarah, about how it's just been like really on my mind, is like, how can I do good? How can I help? How can I, be a part of a solution instead of griping about the way things are? And I heard this thing by John Wesley, and I was like, man, I just loved it so much. So it goes like this. I'm going to read it to you. It says, do all the good you can by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you ever can. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. That's what drives me. That's what gives me hope and gets me excited, and makes me like, I got to do more. I got to do more. And
I want to interrupt again. So for the audience, when I first met Renee, I was like, what do you do? Because it's America, right?
Yeah.
That's what you ask. And I just loved, out of everyone I've ever talked to in my entire life, you were like, well, I work in a nursery, but that's not like what I do with my life. I was like, Good answer. I want to be your friend.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I love that. That's not what I do. I there's so much more to do. I love that, and I love helping people and create beautiful things in their garden. But that's not what I do. What
Right.
I do. I love kids. I love the moms and the aunties that take care of the kids, and I want to encourage the women that help and the men also. And Kirk has become a big part of that also. When I came back in 2010, I was all pumped up. And I was telling him about it, and he said, "Well, that's great, Renee, but I mean," I said, "Kirk, you got to go. You have to see this." And he said, "What? I don't even know what I could bring, what I could do." And I said, "Oh yeah, I got something for you to do."
Tell you
But
about
there,
it.
yes, exactly. I had one, and I just, there are these young boys who are at the orphanage, and it's women really who take care of everything, and they need a man in their life. And Kirk is such a good, godly man, and he's like a regular guy, and the boys love him. So I got to tell you what happened. So I went in 2012, and that was Seeds of Hope. I went with a girlfriend, and we started a vegetable garden at an orphanage at Kawada. And then um, in 2013, I had this thing happen that kind of set me back a little bit. I was on my way to Mexico City with the Santa Rosa high school youth group, and we flew all night into Mexico City, and so I was a little tired, but we got there and we got on a bus, and Mexico City's high altitude, and I started feeling a little sick, and I was like, not feeling so good. And got on a bus and got off to where we were staying, and I was like, whoa, really not feeling very good. So I said, hey guys, I need to go lay down. I get altitude sickness. I'm pretty sure that's what this is. And I spent the whole day in this little room
Mm.
feeling very sick. Let's put it that way. And so at the end of the day, I mean, they checked on me all throughout the day, and I kept saying, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, everything's gonna be fine. And then they said, okay, Renee, we're going to bed, because everyone was exhausted. And I said, well, I can't walk. I'm so exhausted, I can't even get up. And they said, that's okay, we'll put you on a chair and carry you. And I was like, this is really embarrassing. So they put me on a chair, and I was like a queen going to, you know, go lay down where everyone is going to sleep. And basically, as soon as they set me down on the floor, I went into a major seizure.
Mm.
And it was like very scary. And everyone from Redwood, Covenant Church was there and got to see this whole thing. But a lot of miracles happen in that situation. An ambulance was called, and it came in 20 minutes, which is pretty unheard of in Mexico City or Mexico. They took me to a private hospital that was amazing. I mean, put our hospitals to shame. It was like, where am I? And they called Kirk and told him about it, that I had had a seizure, and they said, you're going to want to come get her. And then they told him that they were pretty sure that I had an incurable brain disease. Like, well, that's a really good thing to tell. Yeah. So then he had to get on. Isn't that nice?
Oh my.
So, but they didn't tell me anything at all. And so it took him a while to get there. Like, I don't know, he had to wait till the next day. It was this big, huge thing. So he gets to Mexico City, and he's in the taxi. And while he's in the taxi getting there, this doctor comes in, and they hadn't told me anything. And I was starting to feel like, they're not telling me anything. I feel like they're hiding something from me. And he comes in with this big folder and takes out this big slide of my brain. And he said, see that thing right there? That's a brain tumor. You have a brain tumor.
Who
And I
said
was like,
that?
the doctor, a doctor just walked in and said that. And I was like, and he said, good news. You have a brain tumor. And that's the first thing I heard about anything. And I was like, oh, Okay.
Translation error. Good news. You have a brain tumor.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I knew they weren't telling me something, yeah. And then Kirk walked in and all I remember really the doctor saying is, and then I just checked out and he said, as far as brain tumors go, you have the best kind. And that's all I heard. And my brain just stopped and I stayed there. So I was like, okay, they're gonna remove it and I'll be just fine.
Uh,
Long story short, I came home. I did have, I had a meningioma. Maybe it's really big. Yeah. Anyway, they removed it, and it took me about a year to recover. Literally, like, yeah, it was my whole everything was opened up, and yeah, it was major. So my brain was not really working right, as you can imagine, but the brain is amazing. And with time, it reconnects and you start being able to talk again and think and reason. And it all came back, I think. I ask Kirk a lot of times, I'm like, do you think I'm really okay? And that's my go-to. If I messed up, I just said, I had a brain tumor.
that's awesome. Lifetime pass. Like, well, must be the brain tumor.
I had, that brain tumor. I had brain surgery. Exactly.
What are you gonna do?
But you know what the great thing was? So that was in 2013. 6 months into my recovery after having that surgery, this little gal, Bailey Farron, who's an incredible artist, and she was 17 at the time, she came up to me and said, "Hey, Renee, I want to go to Africa really bad, and I want to do art projects in a like an orphanage setting kind of thing." And I'm like, got just the place for you. So 6 months into my recovery, I started moving forward again and knowing I'm going to Africa again. And so I had like hope, and I kept just moving towards that hope and like planning the best I could. So I think that really helped me in my recovery as I had something that I was moving towards. I had my family. I love my family, and that was good. But I had something a little bit more that I could plan and um, set my eyes on and move forward that way. So in 2014, 1 year exactly after my brain surgery, I was back in Africa.
Wow.
So awesome. Yeah, it was so amazing. So yeah, so that was that little part of the journey. And then so that was in 2014 I went back, and then 2016 I went with my niece Bethany, who's a dancer, and she taught dance. And the thing, Sarah, is the very first time I went in 2010, I had such a connection with the kids. And I'd been on other mission trips before where you go in, you connect, it's fun, you leave, and that's it. That's the last time you ever see them.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I'm doing it different this time. And I told them I would come back, and I did, and I do. So it's really, really cool. And I go see them. I've watched them grow up. I mean, I met Imelda when she was 8 years old, and now she's 24. She just had her birthday. She has a baby. And so I'm watching them all grow up. It's really, really cool. And I go back. I said I'd go back, and I go back. And that warms my heart. That just makes me feel like, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. Yeah. So then I went in 2016, and then in 2018, Kirk's been with me 3 times now, and I've been 7 times. Yeah, it's just it's an amazing thing. And the All Care Foundation is thriving. It's doing really, really well. And we connect, we have 5 orphanages. There are 3 in Mexico and 2 in Africa, 1 in Zambia and 1 in Uganda. So we saw our primary, where we were set up to send funds for their nutrition program. So they always had food. Our motto is "Hungry stomachs have no ears," and that is just so that they don't have to worry that part of their life. There is food on the table. It's not like food we have, but it's it's food. Their tummies are full. They're able to go to school. They're able to they go to youth group and church, and they love the Lord. I don't go to bring them Jesus. No, I don't. We share it together. So yeah, I'm not a missionary to go tell the world about Jesus, although it does happen. I mean, um, the last 2 times we've been there, we've done something a little bit different. We're with orphans and we're with families, but we also go visit the widows, which is incredible. Incredible. We're in Uganda. We go out into the bush. We meet these widows that are just, it's in Africa, there aren't supports, governmental supports. And so it's poverty. I mean, we walk into the houses, there's no furniture. They're mud buildings. There's a mat that we all sit down, and they're wonderful, lovely women. And we sit with them and we talk and we sing, we pray. Oh, Sarah, it's so much fun. It's fantastic. Yeah. So back to the part where I say helping people help people. Yeah. One thing we do is when we're there, our eyes are just always open, and we always pray, Lord, just show us the need. And there's needs everywhere, always, all the time. But show us how we can be a part of a solution, what we can do to help. And so, for example, we have these women, they're called the All Care Moms, and it's a group of women that go to Bayside, and they have kind of officially adopted these young children in Uganda, Nyalugazi, Uganda. Yeah, so there was a need. You have to pay to go to school there. So a lot of children don't go to school. So they also need to learn a skill so that they have something in their life to, have a way to live and have food and do all the things that you do in life. And so they decided to purchase sewing machines. And then there's a young gal who is teaching the children to sew. So that's a skill that they use that a lot in Uganda. They make their own clothes and bags and all kinds of stuff. And then they're also making bags so that we can, when I go next time, 2020, that kind of messed up being able to go to Africa, or anywhere. They're making bags. And so we'll all be bringing the bags back and selling the bags here.
Cool.
So there's just a lot of different things. We've been able to do a lot, like going and seeing situations. This one time we went, and the pastor said, we'll walk down to the swamp. And I was like, we'll walk. I have no idea what that means. So we walked down with all these kids, and then I recognized, they have jerry cans. So I guess I don't know. So walk down there, we get to this little pool of water, and it's brown as brown is, and all these kids started one at a time putting their buckets into this swamp, getting the water, and they carry it back. I was like, what the heck? Oh my gosh. So I just came back with photos and the story, and that's water they were drinking. It wasn't bath water. Yep. I mean, they boil it. I mean, but they're sick all the time because of the water that they have to drink. So came back with that story, and we put up a GoFundMe thing, and we had $5,000 in, I think it was less than 2 hours. It was amazing. So just people helping people with a story. We dug the well, we built a school, purchased a home for the teachers to live in. I wrote all the stuff down because I can't even remember it all. Purchased a church in town, sewing machines. There's a woman who has a consignment shop downtown, and she has these really nice dresses for, fairly cheap. And I said, well, what do you do with the things that don't sell? And she said, well, we just donate them. And I'm like, hello, I have a really great thing. And so for the last 2 times she's donated, we bring suitcases full of beautiful clothes. And so we get to, when we go see the widows, we always give them a dress, and people donate jewelry, and just give them jewelry, just give them beautiful things and tell them they're beautiful, Sarah. The widows, they're not told they're beautiful. Yeah. Or even women are not told they're beautiful. And I was like, wow. and they would just light up. They would just become this different person with their new dress on and their jewelry and just the simple words of, "You look so beautiful." Ah, so
That's
sweet.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's hard. It's really hard. I mean, my sister, usually everybody that I've gone with, we have moments of like big tears and like crying, just going, wow, who are we to even be here? How, I mean, thank you, Lord, for giving us the opportunity to help these people. Thank you for letting us help them help themselves. That's the most important thing. We don't want to go over there and go, money, money, money here. That's not what it's about. It's about empowering them to be able, because they have a lot of dignity, a lot. I mean, they're very proud people and they don't want to hand out either. And so it's so cool to be in that position where you can actually say, here's a hand up. Let us help you do this. And then you move forward and it happens. It's really great. Yeah. 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 So it's been a really fun journey since 2006 when I said yes to being on the board. And then all those other yeses that went down the way. I think I hit all my yeses. Oh, here's a good yes, Sarah. This is my yes number 6 that I was thinking of. And I said yes to doing this podcast and sharing my story.
Yes.
So I'm like, all right, what comes out of this? Yes. This is my most current yes.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thank you for doing that. And actually, this whole thing is not my idea.
Okay.
I, as a life coach, I love seeing clients. I do not love doing YouTube, but God has called me to it. And I've kind of had to stumble my way through trying to figure out what he wanted me to do. And this is the latest communication, is to just have people tell their stories about God, how God has moved in their life. And I have to say, at first I was like, that sounds really hard. I don't know. But I was like, okay, fine. Usually my yeses are like, fine. And then you're my second interview, but it has been already a very life-giving experience for me. And I can't wait to see how God uses the people who are willing to say yes, which I mean, I have invited so many people, probably 90% are like, oh no. And it just really occurs to me. Of course, it's not for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how beautiful it is when people say yes. That's a gift.
It is a gift. And I've experienced it over and over and over. I've told you 5 gifts, and there's a lot more than that, 5 yeses. And I have come to the realization that if I don't step out and do hard things, my life is kind of boring. I'll just be out in my garden and all by myself, which I love. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's just this whole other world that's so much bigger and is so much more fulfilling. And you know what? You can do both.
Yes.
That's the best part. Do both.
Totally. I know. It's so true because, well, because we've been going to church together a long time.
Yes.
And you've been there a million years before we joined. But did you do the Experiencing God study when we were doing that at church?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah. Yeah.
So, church-wide study. And it was actually, I'm just gonna grab the book because I think it's really good to have visuals, and I'm not afraid to show my rear side on YouTube. So here's what the book looks like.
Yeah, we did that.
So it came at a great time in my life because both my parents had cancer, and they're divorced.
Okay.
So it was weird. I was like doing a lot of visiting, right, in 2 different houses, but that, and then I had been doing work. Back then I wanted to be a marriage and family therapist before God told me that I was on the wrong path and I needed to switch to, I think, this life coaching thing. But anyway, I had been working with foster kids.
Okay.
In my internship, and I have pretty significant abandonment issues. And then like a lot of people with abandonment issues, I was very adamant that I was going to be an adoptive mom. So then I adopted my 2 boys.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
then I decided to go help foster kids.
Okay.
And I was very I'm an Enneagram 8. I don't know if you're into the Enneagram, but the
I
problem
should be. I need to do it because it
Ooh,
sounds really good.
I would
Yeah.
love to help you with that. It's so
Yeah. Do
fun.
help me.
Anyway, the 8s are really good at trying to protect people, which is what I really love to do. But what we're not good at is recognizing when we need protecting and we're falling apart. And so
Okay.
both my parents were sick, and I'm like giving to older children in foster care. And I would drive home from they call it a group center, but it's an orphanage,
Okay.
that's what it
Mhm,
is.
mhm, mhm,
It's we don't have enough foster parents. And so the kids who are older go almost all over America. They're just living in orphanages. Um,
mhm,
but they
mm,
feel in America, they feel a little bit more like prison, to be honest with you. So
okay.
I would work with my clients and then I would drive home sobbing.
Mm,
Like I couldn't breathe sobbing the whole way home every day. And then because it was so triggering for me because of the abandonment stuff, and you can't save everybody. Like
mhm,
some kids' lives are so brutally unfair. It just,
mhm,
I couldn't really take it, to be honest with you.
mhm,
And I was already very kind of like very feeling weak from my parents being sick. So anyway, I just had this moment where I like completely fell apart. I had to quit my job. And I just was like, this is going to be a mini season of rest for me because I'm like literally falling apart and I need to focus on rebuilding myself and being a mom and just kind of slowing it all down. And then literally this study was announced like that
mhm,
Sunday. And I was like, this is perfect timing. I'm going to rest through this study. I can't remember how many weeks it
mhm,
is, but I was like, that'll be my rest. And so I was so weary and I was just sitting on the couch doing this study, like with my full attention. It was all I was doing.
mhm,
And
mm,
God moved. Like
mm.
he
Awesome.
told me I had been disobedient when I went to therapy school.
Aha.
Um, because I had prayed about it, but he never said yes or no. And I was like, oh, he'll bless it. So it turns out that's not true. And then anyway, it was so beautiful how he used me, but the basis of this study is knowing and doing the will of God, which I really believe we must do, but
Mhm.
also that we don't have to like create all these things. We just have to look at what God's already doing and join him.
Uh-huh.
And I'm
Yeah.
hearing so much of that in your story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like show up and
Okay.
say yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So true. And I have thought that so many times,
Mm,
and I've done it both ways. I've done it on my own, and it does not work out. I mean, it's like a running joke over here. And then I've joined in with him, and yeah, exactly, bad. And that's so different. I mean, things move beautifully, and it's really cool because when we're there, we this last time I've done it the last 2 times, but I just look for God's miracles the whole way. And
mhm,
so we count the miracles throughout because we spend a month over there.
mhm,
So everything from the last time I was there, I was in the shower, I fell in the shower, went down. I could have hurt myself so bad, Sarah. I hurt my little toe. I mean, I really hurt it, but it could have been so bad. And so there was one miracle, and then just after another, and it just shows you that you're God's got you. He knows what you're doing, and he's with you, and he's protecting you, and he's guiding you, showing you what where you need to be, and
mhm.
yeah, conversations. Yeah, no, that's good. And experiencing God. Yes,
Mm.
yeah, through the whole thing.
So when you first told me the title of your story about saying yes, I was really struck because I saw an interview with Shonda Rhimes and she wrote a book called The Year of Yes.
Oh, okay.
She, I think, is a very strong, powerful woman who's used to having control. And so
Uh-huh.
she decided, as a challenge to herself, she was going to take an entire year and just say yes to opportunities that came in
Ooh,
front of her.
okay. Uh-huh.
That scares
Wow.
me to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
She wrote a whole book about like what an amazing year it was. And
Uh,
I don't think that it would be wise for me to say yes to everything. In fact, I
right.
think it's very wise to say no to a lot of things that are like sideways energy, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but as believers, like
Mhm.
how beautiful to live an intentional life of yes when God is calling you to something.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Mhm.
I love the yeses.
Yeah.
Trust me. And there's I heard this woman say one time to live, you can live your life on the verge of yikes. And that's how it's been. Like, do you want to do this? Yikes. Ah, and it's almost like you need that, because then you know that I'm not doing it and it's totally not me.
Yep.
It's absolutely God working through me and just designing the whole situation. And yeah, yikes. Like, you're gonna go
Right.
to Africa. Yeah, you can have an African boy come live with you and he's 16, so all this stuff, that's like yikes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I've never taken care of anyone and done wound care. What's wound care? I don't know, but I did it. I did it. God totally helped me do all that stuff.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome.
So, what is next for you as we wrap up here?
Yeah, what is next?
Do you have a trip
Well,
planned?
yeah, we're gonna go. Well, we'll hope, depending on how everything plays out. But
Mhm.
fall of 2022, we're
Okay.
gonna go back. Yeah, and we go to Africa. So the All Care Foundation is 3 in Mexico and
Mhm,
then 2 in Africa. The ones in Africa, Nalugazi, Uganda,
mhm,
and Kobwata, Zambia, we go to both of those.
mm.
And so right now I am the president of All Care Foundation.
Cool.
Oh, that was a yes. I was like, yeah, does anyone else want to do it?
Yeah.
No, you. I'm like, okay, it's been good. It's been fine. But so we'll go in 2022 and just visit everyone and bring those purses back, and just we get to go back and say hello to everyone. And a lot of times, Sarah, we don't even know what we're going to do. This last time we were there, and we actually were there in 2020
Mm.
in January. See, the Lord just put everything out. January 2020, never even heard of coronavirus or COVID or whatever. And we were in Uganda and we started hearing little things about corona. We were like, huh. And we were there during Ebola also in 2014. Yeah. So it's like, oh, it's another one of those. And,
Yeah.
yeah, we won't get it. So then we came home, and then I was a couple of weeks later, we all shut down, and then we knew what it was. So we just skirted through Africa and before that whole thing happened. So when we were there in 2020, this is what I was going to tell you. We really, a lot of times we have a general idea of what we're going to do,
Mhm.
but we don't really know until we get there. And this last time in Zambia, they were opening up a little preschool. 2 of the young girls had got their teaching degrees. So they're going to open a school. People pay to have their kids go to school. So it's a way for Kabwata to make money also to support themselves. So they had this building, just big square building, and they wanted to make 2 classrooms. So we went in there with them and we designed a classroom. We were super resourceful. We would find things, cut it down, paint it, repurposed all this stuff. It was so much fun.
Mm.
And went and bought paint, and it was just great. So we spent a week making these classrooms, and now they have a functioning school.
Well, and
So it's
talk about what Kirk has to offer. You brought a master carpenter
yeah.
with you.
Exactly. So my sister and I went over there, and we kind of, he's not great at being creative, but if you give him like, this is what we need to do, and we can do this and this and this, and I'm like, we need to do this, but I have no idea how. And he's like, okay, I'll figure that out. So a really good team. We can teamwork that. And I love being resourceful. I'm actually better at being resourceful than actually going and just purchasing everything. That
Mm.
makes me nervous. And I think, don't know if I can do it. But I can look around a room and go, aha, that really old funky thing over there, we can make that into a,
Cool.
just change things around. Yeah.
That's
So
cute. I'm not like
anyway,
that at all. I'm the one to just go buy the thing.
oh, well, yeah. I wish I was good at that. I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So every time we go, it's different.
yeah.
So the next plan is to go in 2022.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. And my sister and her husband will go with us. And we do all kinds of stuff, Sarah. It's crazy. Yeah. They make us talk. They take us way out into the bush, hours and hours and hours away. And we're supposed to talk in front of all of these people. It's interesting. It's great though.
I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for telling your story here. And thank you for saying yes.
Yes, number 6,
Yes.
as I'm counting. And I'll let you know, Sarah, what happens from this.
I'm going to title this episode number 6.
Number-
It's only number 2, but I'm going to be like, this is yes, number 6 for somebody.
If anybody's interested in knowing more about the All Care Foundation, I can give the website and you can go check it out.
Okay, go ahead and tell us, and then I'll put the in the actual link in the description notes.
Awesome. So it's www.allcare.org.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we have a Facebook page, and yeah, you can learn more.
I love that.
If you want to be a part of it, you could call me 707-688-4472, and we'll talk to you about All Care.
I love that. You have such a big heart, Renee. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, I love it. Thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited.
All right, my dear. You have a great day. You take care.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, Sarah.